All right, I'm back. Hello world, and how are you all doing? I hope you're all having a nice WWDC week or watching this later. Nice time just learning more about WWDC. And next up, we're going to watch the Swift Charts Raise the Bar session together. But first, Halux has written, "Good afternoon, Jihad. Found any favorites from WWDC yet?" Not really. I don't have any favorites. I mean, favorite topics, of course, I have always the same topics in my mind that for me are interesting, but they don't really change each year. But it's great to get the Swift Charts library. That's definitely great. I'm looking forward to this session. So that's definitely one of the highlights, I think, this year. But there are so many small things also that are really great, though, that I'm really looking forward to just use every small bit all together. And I'm more excited about the vast amount of smaller improvements that we're getting that all together I think really add up. And that's basically how I would put this year. There's so many new views for SwiftUI, for example, that weren't available before. But I think if I had to point out one thing, it's the fact that Apple has mentioned that they are now using SwiftUI themselves in the system, like also for macOS, and that fact drives all the changes within SwiftUI and makes things much better. And that's also, I think, how we got to the navigation improvements that we saw in the session before. That's basically what I really like, that they're using it themselves, and that's, I think, the highlight for me, because it's great if they're using the things themselves, because then the things will actually be high quality. Otherwise, it's hard for them to find the nitty-gritty details where things can go wrong. But let's get on with Swift Charts Raise the Bar. And we're going to watch this together. And I want to remind how the watch along works. So if you're watching this the first time, to make this work, because I can't show the video itself or the audio, you have to open it on a second device. Make sure to prepare for that. And I'm actually going to download it now. So you can just do it in the developer app. Just search for Swift Charts Raise the Bar. There you go. Let's make this a bit smaller. And then you can just click the download button here. I'm clicking the download, but you can direct play. But when I direct played last time, the quality was really bad, probably because all developers were watching at the same time. But download is quick, pretty quick. And now I can just click play. And before I click play, I will actually count down. Let me prepare this. I will actually count down, so you can click play at the same time, and I'm not going to pause the video anytime, so you can basically watch alongside with me and just hear my reactions in case I talk. Actually, I don't talk that much, but that's how it works. And if you're joining me live, you can definitely write into the chat. If you're watching this afterwards, I'm going to take notes while watching, and after that I'm going to go through my notes and summarize things together, maybe explore a bit of APIs. For example, for the SF symbols, we had a look at the new SF symbols app, and we might try out something if there is anything that I want to try out, or if somebody asks something in the chat, I will definitely try to explore that as well. If you're just interested in the summary, you can also skip forward within this video if you're watching this on YouTube. All right, I think this is it. And oh, some more comments in the chat. So Apple eating their own dog food is always important. Yes, so much so. That's totally true. If you have quality issues when you live stream, start then drag the slider back to the beginning. I find that it fixes the quality issues. Yeah, probably that helps as well. So that's a great tip for everybody. But if you download, you definitely don't have any quality issues. So yeah, that's the easiest way, I think, to fix that. All right, I'm going to count now. So everybody make yourself ready and just pause the video if you are not ready now. All right, 3, 2, 1, play. I always forget turning off the music. All right. So fast, can't follow. All right, so that was the, let me quickly turn back on the music. And looks like I was again in the wrong one without the thumbnail. Did I forget it again? Anyways, so we watched the Swift charts, raise the bar video together, and boy was that a fast-paced video. So that was really fast-paced. I couldn't follow everything, and they just showed things off and went to the next. So maybe that's because it's a big API, and also because it's completely new, unlike the navigation, for example, where they could go more into detail. And I'm sure that next year we'll get another Swift charts detailed video, at least one. All right, so they started by setting the expectations and talking about why a Swift chart library is really important. And they went into all of these. They didn't went into them in detail, but they listed all these points that I think is important to notice, that if you're using like a third-party chart library, I'm sure they're not getting everything right. Maybe the visualization is the thing that everybody focuses on, that maybe works greatly, but is it then localizable? Is it then, does it have like nice layout features? Is it multi-platform? It's always something that's missing. Most of the time probably accessibility, that's also not easy to get right. And I'm also not sure if all chart libraries support dark mode even. But that's definitely one of the most important things. But then they went into like how to use it, and marks and composition was the first topic. Marks are basically what, as you can see in this screenshot, mark is basically just one kind of data. You imagine this is a data mark, so it can be a line mark, it can be, in this case, it's a bar mark, and that's how you represent data in the end. And you can use something like bar mark, like they've done here, and you can present X and Y axis information basically, and you just provide the Y, you just use this value and provide the legend name. This is basically the legend name for the X axis, and this here Y is the legend name for the Y axis. At the same time, you provide the value with a legend name. This is, I'm sure they've iterated a lot until they came up with this solution, because it's kind of counterintuitive at the first moment to specify the legend with a specific mark. But if you put this into a for each and you have like data that drives it, then everything makes sense, and you just specify everything in one go. So you just have this legend name, then you have this is the data value basically that you're getting, and in this case it's a date. And for dates there is even something where you can specify a unit, so that's an overload of this value, and you can specify the unit day, for example. And for the Y, you just specify the value, and that's just an integer, and that basically drives it. And they have went into, and that's really important to notice here, they went into different kinds of data types. And this is, I want to jump right here right now, because there is quantitative, nominal, and temporal data types. So the temporal is, as you already saw, it gets a special treatment. You basically have a unit then. But what's really important to point out is that the nominal type basically drives how this thing is rendered. For example, here, the x-axis is a quantitative type and the y is a nominal type. So for example, just the name. And if the y-axis has a nominal type, then this becomes basically, this shows, like, as they said, the orientation of the bar depends on where the nominal data is. So if you put it here, then it's going to the right, the data. If you put it in the x-axis, then you have a bar chart that goes up, like we had above here. Where is it? This is also a y-axis. Okay, that's not the case. X-axis, yeah, y-axis is having the, but that's important to note. Then you can color the bars by providing a foreground style on the bar mark or the line mark or whatever mark you're using. You can use line, point, bar, everything like that. And there's even a list of them here. So there is bar, which looks like this. There's points, then you have different points on your thing. Then you can have a line bar, which draws a line, and you can also interpolate. That's really cool. They have built-in interpolation. You can specify an area, and it's basically like a line, but it's filled. You can have a rule, and you can, which is basically just a line. So you can, for example, if you had like the body mass index as a chart you want to show, you could draw a line for like where adipositas starts. You can draw a line like you can basically draw lines that are help orientation. Then you can have rectangles basically. And these are the different types of marks that you can define. And then you can also have mark properties. These are the x value and y value. And some of them have on the y value, for example, the rectangle one has on the y value a, how is it called? Y max and y min, I think it was the name. There you go, y start and y end. So you can provide the start and end of the values for specific types, like area mark. It requires that, otherwise this doesn't work. It doesn't have a y property, so you can't convert every bar mark into a sort of text. On this one, x and y, you can't just write area mark here and it just works, because then this requires y start and y end. But other than that, this is looking pretty easy. Foreground style, just for the color. Then you can provide symbol if you want to change the symbol. For example, you have, if you're using the point style, well, let me go here, maybe we can see one here. Yeah, here, for example, you can see this is a circle, and this is really small, but this is a circle and this is a square. And this is what the symbol is for, if you want to change the symbol. And the foreground color changes basically the color from blue to green. You can also specify your own color. But if you just say foreground style by value, it will choose some colors itself, which is, yeah, like magic, which is pretty cool. And the symbol also, if you just say by value, it just chooses different shapes automatically for you. And I would recommend always using both, because some people might be colorblind or just not seeing every color the same. So if you just provide foreground style and you just have different colors, then users might not be able to differentiate them if they have some kind of color blindness. That's why always you should, I think, go with both symbol and foreground style. Just a tip here. Then there's scales available. I think that's for, yeah, for the scales. There's lots of customizability, and it's not very easy to customize, but as per like just specifying one value and that's it. There is a lot of things you need to understand and APIs to learn, but it's all doable, and I think it's not too complicated. For example, you have chart x-axis with axis marks. As you can see here, axis marks, you can provide like a value yourself here, and in this case that's a bad value. And inside that axis marks, you can also provide axis grid line, axis tick, axis value label. So many things you can do there, and I'm not going to go into the detail there. I think it's something that we have to learn over time. And you can also provide logic, like if the value is first month of the quarter, then then basically you can say something like, I want to put everything together. So 3 bars basically in this case. Just have one legend thing. That's also possible if you want to do that. Otherwise, you just say axis grid line, and that's basically how they implemented that kind of thing. And there's a lot of things like how you can hide the legend, for example. You can also hide the axis. and you can also override them. And the more complicated thing starts with chart proxy, where, as you can see here, you basically get a proxy if you use chart overlay, for example. There was one other, I missed to write that down, but the chart overlay receives a proxy, and with the proxy you can basically read all kinds of data from your chart and do things like that. For example, in this case, they are storing into the range some data whenever a specific gesture, drag gesture is changing. So they put a drag gesture, you can drag something across on the chart, and then whenever the user changes their finger at where they are right now, they are setting the range, and this range data then they are using in here to basically highlight it and to basically render the view, how it should look like when the user selects this range. And so you have full control. This is basically the interaction part, more or less, the chart overlay, and this is the data that you can update accordingly. Yeah, that's a more complicated example, but it shows that there's quite a few things they have thought about, and I think the Switch Charts library is really, really cool and easy to start with, and has full customization capabilities. Like here, the interpolation method, I didn't get which exact method they used, but something with Catmull they had in there, so it looks like they have different interpolation methods, which is really cool to have them built in. And you can have rule marks as well. Yeah, it's overall pretty cool, pretty easy to use, and pretty nice to customize too. So that's it for Swift Charts. I don't see anyone writing any questions in the chat, so I will be continuing with the next topic, but I'm also kind of hungry, so I think I will be having a longer break now. So everybody watching this on YouTube, thank you very much, and don't forget to like this video. Don't forget, and do it right now. That's the best, you won't forget it. And I'll be back with another video, and the next topic is going to be build global apps, localization by example. Yeah, I'll be back with that, but after a break, so I'll be stopping streaming and I'll be back later. So everybody, thank you for being around, and I hope you will join me later again. I think I should be back. I should be back within an hour or so. I tried to be back earlier, but that's the latest. So thank you and see you around.